Hello, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews, and welcome to the return of my live chat with wine. Uh, I'm here live to chat, and I have some wine, and I haven't done one of these since July, I think, because actually since June, because I don't think I did one in July or August, because I just quite simply didn't have any time for it. But here we are in September. My calendar's cleared up a little bit. So here I am. I will introduce my wine in a second, but first, real quick, hello to Matty Jester. He asked how my trip to New York City was. It was amazing. I can talk a little bit about it. I also, I've actually been to Denver since then too, all for fish. I've traveled twice in the last month or so for fish. They play in Denver every Labor Day weekend, so I did that as well. But New York City was amazing, just beyond seeing fish. It was just a really fun time. So I'm getting increasingly embarrassed by my wine selections. I used to get at least decent wines before, but now I'm just like getting the bottom of the barrel stuff. It tastes good. It's fine. It's for the price. It's fine. But I am not a sophisticated wine drinker in any way, shape, or form. So here we are with Cave Wine. the Cave Wine. This is another Kirkland's best kind of wine. I think it was Kirkland's best Alyssa the last time I was here because I was drinking the giant bottle of Costco wine. This is also from Costco. And it is a Syrah, thus my name, K Syrah Syrah. Get it? K Syrah Syrah because Cave Wine. Just a really gigantic K on the bottle. Yeah, so but to make it sound fancy, Frenchman Hills Vineyard 2021. Ooh, Frenchman Hills. See, it's French, so it can't be that bad. It is not Chateau Picard, however. Patty says you can't have Chateau Picard every week. It's okay to go cheap now and again. Yeah, I've never had Chateau Picard, to be honest with you. Although I'm sure it's back here somewhere in my cellar behind me. I'm in the wine cellar again. I also got some cheese, so pardon me for a second. Would you like some wine with that cheese? Or no, cheese with that wine? I think is how the saying goes. Yeah, so about a month ago, I was in New York City. A little more than a month ago now. Y'all remember that commercial? I don't know if it was in other countries, but it might have just been an American one. It's like some barbecue sauce. And there were all these cowboys sitting around the fire. Did I already tell this story before? I feel like I might have. But in the commercial, it was like from the 80s and 90s, maybe 90s more. Where all these cowboys were sitting around the fire, and the cook, is making food by the fire or whatever, and they found the barbecue sauce was made in New York City, and they all go New York City and draw their guns on him because he was dared to serve barbecue sauce from that was made in New York City, because whatever brand this was, the commercial for it was like, oh, our barbecue sauce is made in Texas. It's genuine Texas barbecue sauce. Never mind that it was made in a gigantic factory in Texas is probably exactly identical to the gigantic factory in New York City that makes barbecue sauce. So there's no difference. But that was the angle that they were selling their barbecue sauce. So anyway, now anytime I think of New York City, I go, New York City! Because of that damn commercial. Oh, hi, Brandon. Welcome, Brandon. Yes, I'm back from fishing. So yeah, New York. It's just fun to exist in New York, and it's fun to be. It's nice to be in a place where I get to be around not white people. Portland is like the whitest city in America, and I mean, like as far as cities go, it probably is. And so it was nice to like I would get off at different subway stop, and it would be surrounded by different ethnicity. Where I was staying was kind of more there was a lot of Hispanic um, people there, Latinx, Latinos. um, then I went to Chinatown, and there's a lot more black people in New York than there are here. So there's that. Also, one thing I learned very quickly in New York is that the don't walk signs are suggestions. Like we're in Portland and in most other places, I think. You see like the big orange hand that says "Don't walk" at the crosswalk, and you stand there and you wait for the little symbol, the little white walking symbol that indicates that it's time to walk, and then you wait for that, and then you walk. In New York City, it's a suggestion. In New York, if everyone decides at once that they're going to walk, then everybody's going to walk, and fuck the cars. And like the cars are all just sitting there in traffic honking at each other the whole time. Like I always wonder that in movies, like how you always hear this like in New York City, like cars constantly honking. Like what are they honking at? But they do that in real life. Like what are they doing? I don't understand why on earth you would ever drive in New York City, like ever. They have an amazing transit system. You can get anywhere on the subway, and you can get there faster or almost as fast. Like I'll look at, on my Google Maps, like if I'm going to a location, it'll give me the time for driving. To drive there, it'll take 16 minutes. And to take the subway, it'll take 14 minutes. Like, why would I not take the subway? Like, I don't understand why anyone drives in New York. When pedestrians rule, they take over. They just walk wherever the fuck they want, and cars are just sitting there honking. And it's not even the most efficient way to get to a lot of places, unless you were going to get on the freeway. Like, I don't know if you wanted to go from Upper Manhattan to Brooklyn or something. Maybe the freeway is faster. I don't know, but like driving through the city, why does anybody do that? I don't know. If I lived in New York, I would own a car only for the purpose of leaving the city. Like every once in a while, I would definitely have to drive out into the Adirondacks or get out into the mountains. And it would be a further drive than it is in Portland, which would be even the main reason I wouldn't want to live in New York City. But I would have to do that, and I would have a car for that purpose. But from getting around within the city, I would always take the subway. The other thing about the subway is it just makes me think of Mr. Robot anytime I rode the subway, because on that show, like they rode the subway quite a bit. Like there's a lot of scenes on the subway in that show, so that's what I think of when I ride the subway in New York City is Mr. Robot. Let's see. Maddie Jester says the only part of the USA I have visited is Florida. I'd like to visit New York. It looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, New York is definitely worth visiting. It is a ton of fun. When they say it's a city that never sleeps, they mean it. You can walk around certain parts of the city at 4 a.m. and it just seems like it's 9 p.m. Like it's just still just as busy. I was going to tell you something, but let me first say hello to Will Ferrell #1. Welcome. So we got Brandon, we got Maddie, we got Will Ferrell #1. Will Ferrell #1, you like asking me these random questions. I will get to your question in a second, but let me finish my thought. I love you for that. For like you always come in and just like ask these like random questions. But I'll get to that in a second. New York City. So when I went down to see Fish, I went for 4 shows. It was part of a greater 7-show run that they did in Madison Square Garden, but I didn't go to the first 3. because I would never be able to afford that. There's so much. I spent a lot of money as it was, but the shows I went to were Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off, Friday, Saturday. So I had Thursday to do whatever I want, and I went to the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art. Well worth the visit. Loved the MoMA. And then went to get vegan food in Chinatown, on a vegan Chinese restaurant, and then I went to a couple of lesbian bars in New York City, and I'm going to tell you that New York City lesbians, they fucking party. Like, they rage. It was a Thursday night. A Thursday night at like 9 o'clock. It was like a movie. Somebody mentioned Coyote Ugly. I don't really remember that movie, but I don't know if you even saw it, but it felt like I was in a movie. Like, it was like 9 o'clock on a Thursday, and the bartender like jumps up on top of the bar and turns the lights on and goes, "Hey, what's up, everybody? Woo!" Like, everybody's screaming and jumping up and down, and the barmaids are walking around with bubble machines, like shooting bubbles in the air. There's just bubbles everywhere. Everybody's like partying and dancing and making out, and it was like 9 o'clock on a Thursday. I'm like, whoa, we do not party like this in Portland, but I loved it. And then we went, then afterwards I went to another lesbian, which apparently there's only 2 lesbian bars on Manhattan Island. There's a few in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's farther away, so I didn't make it there. But they're both in the West Village, and they're about a 15-minute walk away from each other. So the other one was more of the dance club, but it was like teeny tiny dance floor, and all these like ladies are crammed in there. It's like just dancing their asses off and having a great time. And a lot of it was more recent pop music that I'm not familiar with, but I had a great time dancing to it. It was super fun. And I was not the only trans woman there, so that was cool. Everybody was very welcoming. I think I felt more out of the place by the fact that I was a lot older than most of the people there. Not everyone, especially in the first bar. There were definitely people my age. But I felt more out of place that I was way older, like they're all in their early 20s, than the fact that I was trans. So I had to tell that story about New York. Now I'll get to Will Ferrell number 1's question. Were you ever a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Maddie said, I liked the Turtles when I was a kid. They were called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles in my country. The government thought ninjas were too violent or some BS. That's very silly, Maddie. This is very silly. That doesn't make no sense. A little bit. So the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were more Mark's thing, because he was more of the age. When they came out, I was already kind of a teenager, and I was too cool to like cartoons like that. Although I secretly did watch episodes with Mark, and I did kind of get into it, and I did go see the movie. But like, I was trying to like, put on a cool face. Like, I'm too cool for these cartoons because that's like the kind of environment I grew up in, where I was just like, once you're a certain age, you're just looked down upon if you engage in those cartoons or whatever, and you're just a stupid little kid. So I had to pretend that I wasn't really into them, but I kind of was. But Mark is 5 years younger than me, so he was at the right age when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out. So he was much more into them than I was. Now, if you ask him now, is he still really into them? He would probably say not. You'd have to ask him, but I would guess. I don't think that's his thing anymore. But it was when he was like, I don't know how old he was, like less than 10 years old. Now, did Mark go to New York to see me? I mean, it's a 3-hour drive away, but it's still like, I have one day off from the shows, and like, it would have been a lot to drive 3 hours. And also I was sleeping in every day, so I wouldn't have had much time to hang out with him. So I did not extend that invitation. It seemed like a lot, because it's more than just the 3-hour drive. Then you have to actually get into the city. And as I talked about earlier, driving around in the city is not worthwhile. So it would have been too much of a hassle. So I did not extend that invitation to him or to my parents to do that, because it's been too much. Let's see. What else? Time for some K-Vine. I don't know why I'm saying that way because it's a gigantic K. And a lot of the radio stations on the West Coast have the letter K as their call signal. So it's always like KW, no, KVW or whatever. I don't know what letters are. I don't listen to radio anymore. Or KGW is one TV station. I don't know. That's what it makes me think of. K-Vine. All right. I have a couple of things I could talk about, but I'll give you all a chance in a second. Will Ferrell, if you want to ask another question, or Maddie or Brandon want to ask a question, I'll give you a second. And if you don't, I got a couple things. Maddie says, new Lower Decks has been pretty good so far. I don't get why Boimler has a mirror Archer figure, though. You gotta suspend disbelief a lot of times with Lower Decks. They do take things a little too far as when it comes to the references that our characters would get. There is just no way in hell that Boimler would be aware of Mirror Archer. Like, there weren't any characters from the Prime Universe who even met Mirror Archer. So, because that episode was just completely isolated from the Prime Universe. So yeah, it makes no sense he would have a figure of Mirror Archer, but it's just one of those things in Lower Decks you just kind of have to like wave your hand and go, it's Lower Decks. It's kind of what they do. I forgot to mention, I'm glad you brought that up because I did forget to mention that in my review, like how he had the Mirror Archer. That is just silly. So, season 5 is going to have the love letter to Enterprise, I assume, right? We already got the love letter to Voyager out of the way. In the first episode, we had the love letter to Deep Space Nine. In the last episode, but I do agree with you that, or did I say episode last season? We had the Deep Space Nine in the last season. I do agree with you that Lower Decks has been pretty good. I have felt like it's gotten better each season, and we're on that trajectory right now. So we'll see where it goes moving forward. But I do expect the Enterprise episode in season 5 now, especially since there was a lot of Enterprise references in that Lower Decks Strange New Worlds crossover. They're very much aware of Archer's Enterprise. So that'll be next season. And someone wrote a comment on my video, and I can't remember what their name was. Someone who wrote a bunch of comments on my videos and who I didn't recognize, but I really appreciate new subscribers and new commenters. I should probably see what their name was so I can appreciate them. But they wrote a comment saying that Kayshawn, His Eyes Wide Open was the love letter to the Next Generation. And I'm going to disagree with that because it was just focusing on one aspect of the Next Generation, whereas both the Voyager episode and the Deep Space Nine episode were like focusing on the whole caboodle, like everything. I would say that the first 2 seasons put together were a love letter to the Next Generation as well as the original series. Like they both focus a lot on the Next Generation and the original series. So I don't think there's any one episode you could point to and say it's a love letter to the Next Generation in the same way that 2 Vix was a love letter to Voyager and Here All Trust Nothing was a love letter to Deep Space Nine, because they didn't just key in on one single episode. Like they covered everything, covered a lot of things, a lot of different references. So I don't think there is a Next Generation equivalent in a singular episode. I just think the first 2 seasons together was a love letter to Next Generation because there was a ton of Next Generation episodes or references, I should say. Brandon says, I'm in Alyssa's Crackers. Hospital food sucks. I'm sorry you're back in the hospital again, Brandon. Hope you get out of there soon. PHF, News of Mirror Archer could have been gained via later trips to the Mirror Universe where Prime Universe characters learn its history. But were there later trips to the Mirror Universe? I don't know. Are there like Mirror Universe trips that are off screen? Because certainly I don't think, when Kira went over there, she wasn't looking up Archer's history. and when Michael Burnham went over there, she wasn't having time to look up Archer's history either. So unless there was some off-screen scientific research missions to the Mirror Universe, I don't think so. I think it's one of those things that don't try to explain it. Don't try to come up with an explanation for it. You have to wave your hand and go, it's Lower Decks and it's okay. And there is no logical explanation for it. So don't even try to come up with one. But thank you, PHF. I don't recognize you. Love it when new people come and join me. So welcome. Hope you don't hate me now that I just shot down your theory. But that's my opinion. I think that it's one of those things that we shouldn't try to explain. That's my opinion. Maddie Jester says Tuvix was totally a love letter to Voyager. I was surprised we didn't get a cameo and no Captain Harry Kim. Weak sauce. Well, they already did the Tom Paris cameo a couple seasons ago, season 2. I think if they were going to do any, it would have to be Harry Kim because I think he's the only one. If you look at Prodigy, who's coming, we have the Doctor coming in season 2, and then season 1 we've already had Chakotay and Janeway. 7-9, of course, is in Picard. Tom Paris did the cameo on Lower Decks. So basically, we've got B'Elanna, Harry Kim, and Tuvok, of course, was in Picard as well. So he's taken care of. B'Elanna, Harry Kim, and Neelix, but Neelix got referenced a lot, but he can't really make a cameo unless it's like a dream or something because he's in the Delta Quadrant. Or if they do the Prodigy, he can make a cameo on Prodigy because they seem to be going back and forth between the Alpha Quadrant and the Delta Quadrant like it's around the corner. Which one of the things that drives me crazy about Prodigy. But I suppose Neelix could make a cameo in Prodigy. But for Lower Decks, I think the only eligible people would be Harry Kim or B'Elanna. And Captain Harry Kim would make a lot of sense. And how about the fact that Boimler, Mariner, Tendi, and Rutherford are all getting promoted way faster than Harry Kim did? And rightfully so. Harry Kim should have gotten promoted. So that was one of the lamest things about Voyager is that they never promoted Harry Kim. And my brother talks about how who was it, Brendan Baker? Whoever it was, one of those people, the showrunners was like, well, somebody has to be the ensign. Like, what does that mean? No, why does somebody have to be the ensign? What are you even talking about? Silly stuff. So, have you all watched the first very short Trek yet? To celebrate the animated series 50th anniversary. If you haven't, let me warn you that it is going for straight out comedy. I don't even mean like Lower Deck style comedy, where it's comedy, but it fits into canon and there's a heart to it and it's serious. No. It's like a Saturday Night Live sketch, basically. It is a comedy sketch in animation form that is parodying Star Trek. So if that's not your cup of tea, maybe you won't like it. I thought it was pretty funny. I'm trying to figure out what the point of, like the message of it, because I could see it. if it's making the message that we get too politically correct and get too wound up on offending people, I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't know if that's what the message was for it. But I Skin the Cat, yes, Brandon saw it because I don't know. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it just gets progressively more ridiculous, and I like that kind of humor where it starts off like kind of making sense because he says "skin the cat" and the Mesa, what was her name? The cat woman from the original animated series was like, "What do you mean skin the cat? Do humans skin cats? What if I said let's or what did she say? What if I said, well, let's decimate the humans or whatever it is she said? But that like kind of makes sense because there was a character who was a cat, but then it just gets progressively more ridiculous. And I like that kind of humor. I like the kind of, and that's my favorite Saturday Night Live skits did that. Started off, somewhat straightforward, but then get progressively and progressively more ridiculous as it goes. And I kind of really like that. So I personally found it to be pretty funny because that's my type of humor. But if you're not ready for like just straight up comedy, then maybe it's not for you. Maddie says I didn't really like Skin Cat. I know Tucker's one of the upcoming shorts that should be fun. Is in one of the upcoming shorts. Yeah, I mean it's not everyone's cup of tea. I personally thought it was hilarious. This is just like my type of humor. And I don't get like who the captain was supposed to be, but it's like that wasn't Kirk. but and I love that Ethan Peck was doing Spock, but with the Leonard Nimoy animated Spock. That was pretty fun. Well, yeah, Maddie, I don't know. I think this is going to be how they all are. So if you didn't like that humor, then you might not like the one with Tucker in it either, because I think they're all going to have that kind of similar kind of humor. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Did you see that the Star Trek Day thing on Paramount Plus hosted by Jerry O'Connell? I'm gonna say I thought it was pretty lame. And it bothered me that they completely are erasing Prodigy from history now. Like he never once mentions Prodigy. And you all know that I have my issues with Prodigy. I think it's overrated. I don't think it's I don't think it's the bee's knees, the greatest thing ever, as other people were making it out to be, including my brother, who raves and raves about the season premiere and the season finale, both of which I think are incredibly overrated. But Prodigy is Star Trek, and I do. There are parts of it that I do really like. I also have high hopes for the second season if it does eventually get picked up, which I believe it will. I do think that, and I said that at the end of the first season, that I think the second season has a lot of potential. And it's Star Trek. And regardless of how overrated I think it may or may not be, I didn't appreciate that they're wiping Prodigy from history because it's off of Paramount Plus now. That rubbed me the wrong way. So it was hard for me to enjoy any of the rest of it. And plus, it was like 22 minutes. Remember when we used to do these specials like this? So they would be like an hour and a half, 2 hours back on, network TV, but when we were kids, or like an hour to 2 hours or something. It was like 22 minutes. That was pretty lame. I don't know. And that's nothing against Jerry O'Connell or Eugene Cordero or Tawny Newsome. Love all of them. But it was lame. It's more the Paramount Plus that I am railing against rather than the actors who participated in this. Okay, there's still strikes, so I guess we're not getting a new Trek for a while. I mean, we're still getting Discovery Season 5. Prodigy Season 2 is made, I believe. So I think that we could still get that. But Lower Deck Season 5, Strange New World Season 3, and any other new Trek, the Starfleet Academy show, the Section 31 movie, those things, yeah, we're not getting those for a while. Let's see. Maddie says, I watched the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka today. It has been pretty sweet so far. Watch the next 2. It gets better as it goes, in my opinion. Like the first 2, I liked a lot. 3rd episode, I liked a lot too. It was shockingly short. It was like less than 30 minutes. I was like, what the fuck? But I liked it while it was happening. Episode 4, the one that just aired this past week, is the best episode of Star Wars television ever. Live action, I should say. Not counting the animated shows. But hands down, the best episode of anything on Disney Plus, really. I mean, arguably you could put an episode of Loki or WandaVision up there, actually. But definitely Disney Plus Star Wars shows is the singular best episode. Bar none. Bar none. It blew me away. It is what I watched Star Wars for. It felt like Star Wars. It was everything I could have wanted. And had a what the fuck ending. Not that I will spoil it, but it's setting up for episode 5, which is so massively huge. Apparently, they're showing it in some select theaters. They aren't showing it in Portland. They're showing it in Seattle, which is a 3-hour drive away. I'm not going to drive up to Seattle on a Tuesday night. So I'll watch it on TV. And that's if I even got tickets. I'm sure it sold out instantly. My brother said he was thinking about going to the one in Washington, D.C., but it sold out in 5 seconds. So I had no shot of getting it. But that's how huge they're expecting episode 5 to be, that they're actually showing it in some theaters. So we can't wait for it. So far, Ahsoka is my favorite Star Wars show so far, at least live action. Blows Andor and The Mandalorian completely out of the water. Both overrated shows. What else y'all got? So I'm in the market for dogs again. Tomorrow I'm going to go to a shelter and meet a dog. I found it online and made an appointment. They say on the website, be prepared to walk out of there with the dog. So I don't know. we'll see. It has to be the right fit, obviously. I have to feel good about the dog, and shelter has to feel good about me as an owner for the dog. So I don't know if I'll get that particular dog, but I'm back looking again. And I was trying to think what I would name the dog if I could change the name. Because this dog that I'm looking at is named Heidi, and I kind of hate that name for a dog. But it's 2.5-year-old dog, so if it's always had that name, then maybe I don't want to change it and just keep it. But if I can change it, I would. So I was thinking about female dog names. And I have one that I was kind of leaning toward if I feel like it actually fits the dog when I meet the dog, if I end up even getting this dog. But I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to spoil it. Because I don't want to, I don't know. I want to wait and see before I meet the dog, before I say this name. And the name that I'm leaning toward is not a reference to anything. But I did consider a lot of references. I was going through all these Fish songs with girls' names and Grateful Dead songs. One that I considered was Stella, after the Dead song Stella Blue. But I have some friends who just named their dog Stella. Like Stella is actually a pretty common dog name or cat name too among Grateful Dead fans, among Deadheads. So I probably wouldn't do Stella. So I was going through like Star Trek names and like going through all the Star Trek characters, like B'Elanna, no, Deanna, no, Leon, no, Una. Una sounds more like a cat name to me, and it would be weird since I know somebody named Una in real life. So I don't know. um, yeah, I was going through like all the female characters on Star Trek, and like I don't want to name after any of those. Then I started going to other shows I watched, like Wheel of Time. No, I'm not going to name it Moraine or Egwene or Nynaeve. Like those are all weird dog names. um, and then I started thinking about Star Wars. I'm like, Ahsoka. Come here, Ahsoka. Good girl, Ahsoka. No, that's just weird. However, Sabine, not off the table. Not totally off the table. Leaning away from Sabine, but I think if I met the dog and I felt that Sabine like felt right for that dog, I could see myself naming a dog Sabine. But not Ahsoka. Like, that would just be weird. See, man, just says Tasha. Yeah, I looked at that too. Like, I just found like a web page that had like all the female characters in Star Trek, so I could just like look over them all. And I was like, Tasha, no, definitely not Loxana. Absolutely, under no circumstances would I ever name a pet Loxana. Or I can name my dog Christine. I can name my dog Christine Loxana Computer. Number one, Christine Loxana Computer. Friend's dog is called Loki. I thought that was weird at first, but it grows on you. I've heard of dogs named Loki. Yeah, that's not an unusual. The dog I'm looking at tomorrow is a female dog, but I may or may not get that dog. So if I later look at a male dog, then I will look at other names. I don't know that I would name a dog Loki unless I really felt it fit that dog, which maybe. Yeah, let's see. Okay, but would you name your dog? Would you name your dog Bull the sacred chalice of Rix? You're gonna have to tell me what that's a reference to. I don't get it. Name your car Christine. No way. I'll name my car Christine and I'll name my dog Cujo. How about that? Let's do that. No. Certainly not. Oh, is the Sacred Chalice of Rix was that the Loxana thing? Oh, I think I get it now. Was that the thing they always like announced? Yeah, the holder of the Sacred Chalice of Rix. Yeah. Okay, now I'm getting it. Now I get what. Now I catch your drift. Now I can pick up what you're laying down. I get it. No, dog is not going to be Loxana, and she will not be drinking out of the Sacred Chalice of Rix. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Loxana is a great dog name for some people, not for me. But if I get this particular dog, and I hope that if it's been Heidi her whole life and what she's used to, I don't know. I don't like Heidi as a dog name. I don't like any human name that is. I have too strong associations with humans. Like Sawyer technically is a human name. There's people named Human or named Sawyer. Humans named Sawyer, I should say. I named him after a character on Lost, though Sawyer was his last name for that character. But there are people with first name Sawyer. The name that I am thinking of is actually a name that humans can have, but it's not like one like I don't know. And then even Naomi, Mark has his cat Naomi, and Holden. Holden is not a common human name at all. Naomi is, but even that, that works as a pet name for me. Like I just wouldn't name my dog like John. Here's my dog John. Here's my dog James. Like or a girl dog. Here's my dog Sarah or Megan or Jennifer. Here's my dog Jennifer. Like that's just too much, too common of a human name for me, for my taste. And for me personally, Heidi is in that category. Maybe because of that movie. I don't know. But yeah, Heidi's too common of a human name for my taste for a dog. So I'm not a huge fan of it. But if I decide I want this dog and that's the name that like she's had her whole life, then I would maybe consider just keeping it. But I don't know that I'm necessarily getting this dog. I'm just gonna go look, meet the dog, see what happens. And maybe I don't get this particular dog. K-Vine. Sorry. What else y'all got for me? Give it all you got, Captain. Give me all you got, Captain. Just watched an original series episode today in preparation for my top 100. I'm not going to tell you which one. You'll find out soon. There's a pub cat in one of my regular haunts called Gary. That's a bit human, but I think it's a fun name. Yeah, see that I wouldn't. I mean, other people should name their pets whatever they want. I would not name a pet Gary. Like that is too much of a common like human name for my personal tastes. It's just that's a weird pet name to me. And but I'm not knocking what other people name their pets. It's their pets. They can name their pets whatever the hell they want. I just personally wouldn't name a pet Gary. That's just me, though. Now you've made me think of Gary 7. Thanks. My father had corgis, and they both had Welsh girls' names. Well, that might be cool. I mean, that, yeah, especially in America, like where we don't, Welsh girls' names probably aren't super common. And I know your father wasn't in America, but I'm just saying, if someone in America were to do that. And I love that you have regular haunts, Maddie. You're always going out to the pub, and you have these regular haunts. You fit right into my British stereotype, honestly. Honestly. I just assume everybody in the UK, whether it be Britain or Scotland or Ireland or Wales, they just go to pubs all the time. And that's just what they do. And I always picture like these pubs made out of stone and like in the middle of some vast cow field or field of grass, which I did go to pubs like that when I was in Scotland. So that reinforced my stereotype too. What else? I work in an office 9 to 5. When I'm not at my computer, I'm at the bar. Fair enough. Brandon says the internet is my regular haunt. I got that impression, Brandon. just purely based on how often that you interact with Mark and I on the internet. I did get the impression that it is your regular haunt. But I forget what I was going to say. What else? What else you guys got? Oh, it hasn't even been an hour yet. I can't end it now. Like, I am just running out of things to say. Oh, when is your next top 100 drop? Maddie asks. Well, I put it on my calendar for Saturday, or rather Friday the 15th, which is this upcoming Friday. But goddamn, I gotta catch up because I always like to watch all the episodes before I record, and I've got some episodes left to watch, and then I'm gonna have to record it, and I don't have a ton of time during the week. Ideally, I should be recording it tomorrow, but I still have episodes to watch. So maybe when I get out of here, I'm going to be watching some Star Trek episodes so that I can stay on schedule and get it out on the 15th like I planned to. So I should have scheduled it for the 22nd. But tentatively the 15th. And it will be numbers 10 through 6. And Brandon asks, how's the Wheel of Time? And I was thinking of doing a Wheel of Time first half of the season review, since they dropped the first 3 at once. So we're already through the halfway through the season because there's 8 episodes. And I was thinking of doing a 1 through 4 review, but I don't know if I'll have time to do it. But to answer your question, good. I think that it's about to get better. I think its first half is kind of setting up, and I am now fully caught up through book 3, and I'm in the middle of book 4 right now, and this is covering book 2. So, unlike last season, I am ahead of the books, and so I can see that they did kind of what I expected them to do, which is to really streamline right through book 2. Like, cut out a lot of shit out of book 2 and like get right to the meat of it. So at the end of episode 4, we are now moving into the part of the story that I would say was maybe the last quarter of the book. Like halfway through the season, we're probably in the last quarter of the book, because we're now getting to like the nitty gritty, like the stuff that matters the most. There's a lot of stuff that happened in that second book that honestly, like when I was or I should say more accurately, I was listening to it on audiobook, and I was thinking how the show is going to adapt it. And I was like, they're going to cut out all this shit because there's so much that can be cut. And of course, they changed a lot because they had already changed a lot in the first season. So they continue to change a lot. However, the major story beats are still there. They're still hitting the major story beats. And I can see where they're going for the next episode based on how episode 4 ends. And they are about to hit on another major story beat. So a lot of the things changed from the books, but they're still hitting the major beats. They're not drastically changing the major beats. They're just a lot of the details in between are drastically different. But I think it's good. I think that I'm about to say a phrase that could be construed spoilery, but really it's probably gibberish if you don't know the story. But if you are familiar, Nynaeve going through the arches. I thought that was done very well. That was portrayed very well. That's straight out of the books. They changed it, but I thought they did a good job with it. That was one of the things that I was looking forward to seeing on screen. And they, there's a lot of things that I like what the show does. The character Leandrin, She's got that actress that they got. She's so perfect. She's got the resting bitch face and everything. Like, uh, so I like that character. I like how she's portrayed on screen. But it's interesting what they're doing with Moraine and Land because Moraine is not in the second book hardly at all. Like they already made her a much more major character in the first season than she was in the books. So they're making her into a way bigger character in the second season. She's like pretty much not in the second book. So they've given her this whole storyline where, spoiler if you haven't seen the end of the first season, but at the end of the first season, she's cut off from the source. She loses her powers. So she's got that whole storyline going on, which does not in the book. So they changed a lot with her. And they changed a lot with Rand, but he's still kind of he's got the same trajectory as the books. So it's interesting. So it's a long-winded way of answering that question, but yeah, I think that is good. I think it's getting better as it goes. I think the fourth episode was my favorite so far, and nowhere near as good as episode 4 of Ahsoka. But yeah. Leandrin, I named my dog that. I mean, it's not a bad dog name, but it just makes me think of that character. It's not. I don't know. It's not a good. I don't know. I don't want to be reminded of that particular character, and especially since I know what's coming with that character in the show, based on what happens with that character in the book, and you can tell by the end of episode 4 they're going to keep that. They're going to keep our story the same. And as I said, she has a resting bitch face. Although they do a good job of making her more relatable in the show, which I really like. They definitely do a good job at making her a more interesting, complex character. But because of what this character does, sorry to spoil it if you haven't read the book and you're watching the show, but I would not name my pet after that character. But it's not a bad name for a pet, just in general. It just that I have too much association with that character, probably. Lillian, my brother named his cat Lillian. I think that's a good name for a cat. And that cat in particular, I think it fits her very, very well. Well, what else, you guys? I've only been on here for 53 minutes. And a little timer in the corner there, and I was just waiting for it to strike 53 exactly before I said that. Usually on here at least an hour. What do you think? So, Manny Jester, if you don't mind me asking, are you Matthew Stokes on Facebook? Because it took me a while. I was like, who the hell's Matthew Stokes? But then it started to realize that it's probably Manny Jester. It took me a while to connect those dots. What do you think of Pelia? What if we see her in Discovery? She could end up being Star Trek's long-term hand-me-down, like R2-D2. True. She very well could end up in Discovery. That is absolutely true. I don't know. I went up and down on that character. Sometimes I liked her. Sometimes I found her annoying. Still not. I think I lean toward liking her. But I don't know. Sometimes that accent is a bit much, and I can't understand what the hell she's saying sometimes. But yeah, I think I like her overall. Maddie says, that's me, and my Facebook name is my real name. Okay, so that's your real name. All right. Yeah, it took me a while to make that connection. I was like, man, this Matthew Stokes person really likes to like my stuff on Facebook. I wonder why they never comment on my videos. Oh, okay. Um, my handle's based on my first job where we all got Top Gun nicknames. I was given Jester, so it stuck. Oh, for a second I thought you were gonna say my handle is based on my first job where I was a jester in a court, the king's court. Thought you were gonna say you were literally a jester. Were you given that name because you like joke around a lot, or what? But that's kind of fun that you all got Top Gun nicknames. Brandon says, "Pal, yeah, that accent is so grating." Yeah, sometimes it does bother me, but not all the time. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, you were pretty much just like joking around and stuff, so that you had to be jester. Cool. I learned something about Maddie Jester today. What's up with your name, PHF? But it's PH. Those are your initials, or I mean, because that makes me think of VHF or UHF. What else, you guys? What happened to Will Ferrell #1? Just realizing he asked the one question about the Ninja Turtles. I hope I didn't offend him by talking about how he always asks these random questions. He does. He just comes in and asks random questions. And sometimes I have to wait because I'll be in the middle talking about something else. And they're usually interesting questions and I want to answer them, but I usually have to wait till I finish talking about what I'm in the middle of talking about. So, but I hope he wasn't offended when I said that. Let's see. What else? I don't know. I have this need where I feel like I cannot stop these live chats before 1 hour. And we are at 57 minutes and 33, 34, 37 seconds. Counting down. Oh, yeah. Or Maddie says, also, Kit Harington went to school in my hometown. People always tell me they remember him from parties, but I don't remember anyone called Kit. I would remember a name like that. Did he go by something else back then? Possibly? Or are they all saying he actually went by Kit? Because Kit seems like a nickname. Honestly, it seems like a girl's nickname, if I'm being honest, but I don't know. I'll never be offended about you not liking the character. I was talking. Well, when I was just talking about someone being offended a minute ago, I was talking about Will Ferrell #1, who comes on and will often just ask these random out of the blue questions, and I pointed that out, and I was just saying I hope he didn't get offended by that. Let's see, Maddie, have you seen The Court Jester? Is that a movie, Brandon? Or a show? I have not heard of that. But I know you're talking to Maddie, but I'm still going to ask because I haven't heard of that. Maddie hasn't seen it either. Kit is a short form of Christopher. I thought it was a short form of Catherine. I don't know. I thought it was a girl's name. What do I know? What else? 59 minutes and 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. 1 hour! Yay! Danny Kaye movie from 1956. Yes, you know these old movies. Nice dropping in, gotta run. Nice having you, PHF. Thank you for joining me. Always good to have new folks around to join with the old folks. Not that Maddie and Brandon are old folks, but you know what I mean. Yeah. We have no Norman at this point. No fangirl and loving it. No Liz. So to make up for it, we get a new person in. So that's good. When you are winding your channel down forever, will we still see you? I will miss these live chats. Well, I wouldn't say this forever. Like, I'm just not going to do as many things, and I may decide to do a live chat still every once in a while. And you will, even if I don't, you will see me on Mark's channel, because I'll still do those, and I might still do these reviews as well, although next year is going to be a lot less stuff to talk about because of the strikes, so probably a good year for me to go on a little bit of a hiatus. But yeah, I wouldn't be that extreme and say like my channel shut down forever, because I'm gonna probably have to come on and do something about Discovery. It won't be weekly reviews, but I'll probably do like a half, halfway through the season type thing, and then a end of season type thing. And I may do live chats occasionally, maybe depends on what I feel like. And I may occasionally do trans related videos when I have something very specific to talk about. So I wouldn't say shutting down the channel forever, just like not going to do stuff regularly anymore. And yeah, I know that you guys are gonna miss me, but you understand that you are like vastly in the minority. Like, I get lucky if I get 40 views. And I am not wanting to put the effort into getting more views, so it's just not worth it anymore. It's just a lot of energy for 40 views. Let's see. I don't know, guys. May have to wind this down soon because I'm running out of things to talk about. Well, I ran out of things to talk about a long time ago, actually. Manny Jester has a comment. Open invitation. If you ever in my neck of the woods, let me know. We'll go for beers and have a right laugh. It'll be great. You're in Britain somewhere, right? Well, certainly if I ever fly to that country, because your country is way smaller than the U.S. So even if I'm going in a completely different part of the country, it's not as hard to get. I don't think, is it, from one part to the other. Maybe you don't have as many like highways and stuff. Maybe it is a little harder. But I don't know. You're so small. You're such a little teeny, tiny little island compared to the U.S. So yeah, certainly if I were ever in that country, I would contact you through Facebook and see where you're at. But I will tell you, I have no plans of traveling anywhere like that anytime soon. So I wouldn't hold your breath for something like that happening. But appreciate the invitation. Let us see. Keeping my Facebook page up, by the way. I'm probably going to do a separate announcement video actually on this, just to set the record straight on my social media. Alyssa Jean's Facebook page will go on forever. In fact, it is if I do decide to do things occasionally, if I do decide I'm going to do a live chat, that's where I'll be announcing it. So it would behoove people to be subscribed to my Facebook page, because anytime I'm going to do anything on the channel, which is going to be few and far between, it's going to be pretty rare, I'll put it on Facebook. But Twitter, I'm just getting rid of. I haven't had time to do it yet, but eventually I'm just going to delete my Twitter accounts. I never ever use it anyways. Also, I've never liked Twitter, even long before I was bought by Elon Musk. I never liked it. Never been my thing. So I'm getting rid of my Twitter accounts. And yeah, it's Twitter. It's not fucking X. That's dumb. And for anyone who says, "Oh, well, you don't recognize its dead name, and you're going to call it by its dead name," no, because it's a fucking multi-billion-dollar company. It's not a human being. So yeah, I'm calling a fucking multi-billion-dollar company owned by a multi-billion-dollar asshole. I'm going to call it by its dead name. It's fucking Twitter, because X is dumb. So dumb. X is so stupid. So I'm calling it Twitter, and I'm not going to do it anymore. Instagram, I set up an account called Alyssa Jean's Reviews, and then it alerted all of my friends that my email address was connected to an Instagram account. So all my friends went on it, and it's just kind of turned into my personal account. So I'm just going to get rid of Alyssa Jean's Reviews from the name and just have it be my personal account. And I have stopped, and again, I'm going to make it in separate announcement videos so everybody hears this, but I stopped taking follow requests from people I don't know, because I found, and there's no way to distinguish whether it's someone who's a fan of my channel or some rando dude who's trying to hit on me, or a bot. Some creepy dude is trying to hit on me, I should say, or a bot. And unless I were to ask, send an email to each particular, and it's a message to each particular person, and I don't have the energy for. So I actually stopped accepting requests from people I don't know. But I'll give an avenue for people who watch my channel who would like to still follow me on Instagram. I'll have you contact me through Facebook. And tell me that you want to follow me on Instagram, and tell me why, tell me what videos you like, etc., etc. And Liz Scott is on my Instagram already. So I'll take people from the channel, but you would have to tell me that you're from the channel, and you're going to have to take the initiative to reach out to me. Otherwise, I'm not accepting people I don't know on Instagram anymore. And I stopped a couple months ago. Brandon says, unless Fish tours the UK, of course. That would be fun. They haven't done a European tour since the 90s. And yes, we count the UK as Europe. I don't know if you guys do over there. But yeah, they haven't done I haven't done that since the 90s. And I don't know that I can afford to do that. But it would be kind of fun to see Fish if they went and played the UK. There would be nobody there. It would just be all the Americans who traveled there. There was a rumor that Fish was going to play a big festival in Japan, which, their own festival. I don't know how that they would get that many people. But there are some Japanese Fish fans. So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, what else, you guys? Is it time to go? PHF has already left us. So is it time? Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Boop, 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 boop. I think so. Well, it was good to do this again. It had been a while. Hopefully, I should be able to get one in every month from now until December. So that would be 3 more of them after this one. And then, yeah, they're not necessarily dead forever at that point. Like, I may come back occasionally. It just won't be every month anymore. Thank you, Maddie and Brandon, for joining me. Thanks to PHF, who already left, and Will Ferrell, number one. Thanks for anyone who decided to watch this in the archives. Hope you'll join me next month as I do another live one. Keep an eye on the channel for the announcement of the date sometime in October. Don't know the date. All right. Good to see you all. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.